All right, Lynnell, you had an offensive take, spurring to get off your tongue. Go ahead and let it rip.
Spurring.
Yeah,
it's kind of influenced by a lot of some Odyssey DC articles that I've seen over the past 72 hours or so.
At the team980.com.
At the team980.com. Just getting everyone's opinion and where we're at right now in terms of moving forward with the coaching search. And a lot of people seem right now to be kind of out on Eric Bieniemy. I know me and you have had brief conversation about just what we've heard from in the building about how players would feel about him taking over as the head coach. And I'm going to echo some of what I heard earlier today listening to B Mission Philly. It's just, I think it's really hard. And I understand all these guys are professionals. Their voices deserve to be heard, right? I'm not trying to diminish their feelings at all. This is not what this is.
But
I mean, damn. I mean, if Tyreek Hill, and I'll play some of this audio tonight on Overtime on the Fan 6:30 to 10. Tyreek Hill, if you ever hear him go into detail about how much Eric Bieniemy means to him as a football player, but not just as a football player, but as a man, you'll really understand the type of relationship and the type of interpersonal relationships that EB can build if he gets the time to get to know these guys. It hasn't even been a full calendar year with him in this locker room, and folks are already talking about they don't like him and he's coaching them too hard. I don't even know what the exact messaging is coming out of there, but if you're if you're upset at like lack of production and like lack of targets, if you're a receiver, like if Terry came out and was like, yeah, kind of upset, I'm not really getting the football, I would understand that a little bit. But I'm wondering who it's coming from and why, because to put it simply, like, it's the only guy on your staff that's got hardware. It's the only guy on your staff that's done it on a consistent level. And Travis Kelce's come out to bat, Pat's come out to bat, Tyreek's come out to bat. Those are three guys that he was, very influential in coaching.
I hear you, and I think that there is, like, to me, this is not an overreaction, but there is a lot of gray area. Keim was the first, like, real reporter to, like, say something here that I thought was really interesting, which kind of illuminated some of the, like, very vague rumblings you hear, right? He said that some people in the building, or some players, he said this on his podcast, the John Keim Report, that some people or players wish that Eric had not gotten as much power and that Ron would have taken some of it back. And to me, that speaks to, okay, well, what did Eric do with that power? Was it how he interacted with people, that he was seemed like power hungry, and without an Andy Reid over top of him to check him, that he would, like, the relationship is different because there wasn't someone that, was willing to stand up to Eric and at times be like, nah, man, you need to chill out, which Andy might have been. You have kind of a fire and ice thing. Not that Andy Reid can't be fiery and isn't hard on players, but it's different when you're checked versus unchecked. I also think that, like, on a much more human baseline level, and I already know, again, the comment section, let me have it. The fans, we're going to say your professional football players, who cares about your off day? But, like, if you go around and change players' schedules and, like, the off day, that really messes with their lives. It messes with their routines. It messes with when they get treatment. It messes with when they do charity work. It messes with time they spend with their families. It messes with their ability to, like, go to something in their hometown and be back. Like, these are adult human beings who have lives outside of their job. They're extremely dedicated to the job in the off season. And if you change their off day and their ability to conduct their lives, it better work. And it better have good reason. And I feel like even in training camp, I was hearing that guys were kind of ticked off with some of the schedule stuff that EB wanted to change, and Ron was willing to let it happen, and then it didn't work. And they're 4-8.
This is my thing. What about that didn't work?
I mean,
are they 4-8 because the practice schedule changed, or are they 4-8 because they're bad defensively?
No, like, they're definitely more 4-8 because they're, when they were practicing, it wasn't very good. But, like, the point is like, if the results follow, people fall in line. Eric could get away with some of this stuff in Kansas City because they were winning. And, you start to buy into it. You start to believe it because the results are there. And there's been a ton of studies. Now I'm going way outside of football here, but, like, there are a ton of studies, say, in the fitness world about people who believe stuff that works for them when it doesn't actually work in mass, or maybe they're confused about what the thing is that actually is working for them.
Right.
And so it winds up being this false confirmation, if you will. And so, long story short, like my beef, if there is beef, calling it beef is way too strong. I'm not a hot take artist. I'm not trying to have beef with coaches. My issue with Bieniemy as a potential head coach is philosophically the way he has handled the offense this year. I do not think that is the most effective way to win football games in this league.
You saying just in terms of the high volume of throwing the football, of the passing?
High volume of throwing, like too high. Definitely a passing league. Definitely pass a lot. This is ridiculous, especially when you have a young player and a quarterback. And that kind of goes to I am not convinced that he is someone who won't repeat the same mistakes in a different way that Jay Gruden had. Jay would be like, the system works. You write it on the page, this play should work. And he was right a lot.
Yeah.
Right? But you have other players, and I think this is where like Sean was a great influence on Jay, where Sean would be like, we got to get the ball to Jordan Reed. Right? That is a different approach. And which one you prioritize, both coaches will believe in both. Yeah, we got to get the ball to our best players. We got to have great players. We got to do this. But like, if you get too caught up in your scheme and the X's and O's and not enough in the players, that to me is backwards. And I think that EB did not adjust his scheme from Howell to Mahomes, or Mahomes to Howell, and to Kelsey, interior features to, hey, our three best players are wide receivers. And to me, that says something about how you think philosophically. And thus, I would like someone who thinks, again, personal preference. I'm not 100% right, but I disagree with that philosophy.
And then it's an audio clip that I have from a year and a half ago. Travis Kelce talking on the set of the Super Bowl when the Rams were about to play the Bengals. So this is when EB's name first got in that cycle, and people were banging on the table for him to get the job. Kelce multiple times talked about, EB is the guy that stands up in a lot of these meetings where we're installing stuff and putting in our game plan and our situational stuff. He's the guy that's leading all of that. So for me to believe that he all of a sudden forgot how to coach and forgot how to feature people in the offense, it's hard to believe. And I understand Terry's numbers are down, Jahan's numbers are down, and I understand what people's gripes are with your best wide receiver seemingly and Terry McLaurin not getting the ball. But for me personally, there's gray area because I don't watch, admittedly, as much all 22 as a lot of other guys do. But Sam's ultimately responsible to where the football goes at the end of the day. So We don't know the play call to say that he's not featuring guys. What if Sam's just not throwing them the football?
There is some of that happening. And sometimes, by the way, Sam's not throwing it because he's about to die. The offensive line and protection stuff is good. But, they don't scheme up their run game. They don't prioritize creating good angles in the run game. And I'm looking at the best offenses in the NFL, including the one that's going to drop 50 points on this defense this weekend, and they're going to do that. That's how they create.
So you're more
plays.
With detail instead of the volume of it, because I think detail matters a lot more. Because if you look at the teams that are top 5 in attempts, Atlanta's one of the top 5 rushing teams in attempts this year. They're not very good offensively. I don't have the rankings up in front of me, but
terrible.
Right, but I say all that to say, just because you're a team that's top 5 in the NFL in rushing, it doesn't automatically translate to success.
No, but of course not. But the best offense. Who are the best offenses in the league?
I would say when healthy, Cincinnati's is up there. I would say Buffalo. I would say
Detroit.
Well,
San Francisco.
Detroit, San Francisco.
Minnesota has been really good the last couple of years. L.A.
Miami, yeah.
Miami's best.
I think Baltimore, when they're clicking, is one
all
of the better
those teams
ones,
you just named. They scheme it up. They have good marriage between their run games and their pass games, the play action game. They move the quarterback. They do all the stuff that this team does not, to me, does not do enough of. And again, we can get super into the details here, but at the end of the day, there's just philosophical things with the way that they run this stuff. And there's enough smoke coming out of the building about how he's handled, the scheduling and whatever else that players are mad at. I don't know what it is, but it's enough that it's starting to come out in a bad season.
Which is ridiculous, by the way.
I think here's the other thing that I would say, too, about Bieniemy is, I think they need to start fresh. I think that from a coaching, leadership, everything standpoint, that's the thing that needs to get taken down to the studs.
So my thing is, and this is how I feel like the next 5 weeks will go this way to me. Him coming back and being considered as your head coach, I think should have a lot to do with how Sam in the offense performs down the stretch. And some people may say, well, those two things don't really have anything to do with each other because EB is going to be the head coach, meaning that he's going to have to give away some of the offensive power anyway. But I'm just like, I don't know. He seems like a guy that just can galvanize people. And listening to others talk about him, media members from Kansas City, players outside of Travis Mahomes and Tyreek, the guy's just got something about him as a former player where he's able to relate to guys. And the one thing that all of them say to a man is that he is going to push you to your absolute brink. And I just think in today's day and age, man, there's a certain type of cat that's able to take that, and there's cats that can't. And I don't want the cats that can't. Honestly, I think and I don't mean to go like macho machismo toughness, but
so
like
much
to
time
me,
with Doc Walker over there.
I just think, there's a certain way, like you got to be coached in the National Football League there's a certain way you got to coach to get the most out of guys. I feel like you got to know who you can kick in the butt and who you got to tap on the top of the head. But
that's coaching.
Striking that balance is huge. And I think he does a good job of it based on all the positives you hear. Like, I don't give a damn what Shady McCoy has to say about Eric Bieniemy. Like, he's not even good on TV.
Well, okay. Well, that we can agree on. That is coaching. That is the art of we have now destroyed the clock. So this is a conversation that we'll certainly continue over the next couple of weeks. The art of coaching is understanding how you get through to players. I would highly suggest anyone, you included, read the Washington Post feature on Mike McDaniel, who does it a completely different way. Like, there are multiple ways to do this. At the end of the day, you have to be able to reach people, and that is the art of it. And obviously, he did a great job in Kansas City. I think he's a good coach. I think he belongs in the league. I think he obviously has been deserving, based off resume, of a head coaching shot. I just don't know here if that's the right play. My thought is here, they need to wipe out every coach on staff on both sides of the ball and start over. If you want to keep anybody, congrats to the special teams crew. I guess y'all can stick around. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. That is Lynnell Willingham. Kyle Kuzma on the blower to talk to us next.
Hey, this is DA, and you're listening to The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.